So we've been doing a series on this book, E Squared, 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments to prove your thoughts create reality. And so the first week, this week we're on the third experiment. The first week, the experiment was for us to prove the existence of God. And we did that by setting down, setting a time, and then for 48 hours, and asking for a blessing within 48 hours. Now, the week before last when I spoke, I asked you if any of you had gotten results, and some of you told us about your results. Since that week, have any of you done it and gotten results? Yes. You did it and got some results.
I didn't get results on finding the right car, but I sure did get results on number 1, which was look for the good. Mm-hmm. And I had a birthday, and I took 11 people to the chart house, and it's expensive there. And one of the gentlemen who was my friend said, I'm picking up the tab. Even before I knew it, I saw him signing it. So I think that was a blessing.
That was a blessing. That was a blessing. That was from week 1, asking for a blessing. Did anybody else have a blessing? Stoney.
We had a theft 8 months ago, something like that, 8 or 9 months ago. And everything total, if replaced with new, total to over $100,000. And we had insurance that's supposed to replace with new or that value. Well, and they were old tools and tool cases and stuff of his father's, of Darren's dad's. Well, we had gotten a check for half. And with this new house, we've had, somebody told us when you buy an old house, plan on about $50,000 extra that you don't see. And we thought, nah, well, yeah. So they were right. Anyway, we were like, half's not going to get this. We don't know what we're going to do. And we certainly can't do what we want to do. And we didn't think that was right. So anyway, make a long story short, we have gotten permission to cash the first check and cross out this is final full payment, and that they've reopened the case, and we're fully expecting to get the rest of it.
Great. Great. That's a blessing. So the second week, we were to look for a car, a particular color car, for 24 hours. Did any of you do that and have something that you want to talk about?
I saw a bunch of striped Fiats after we had service. I saw 5 of them on the way home, literally, and I've only seen 2 like the whole time I've been down here in years.
It works.
Yeah, it does. I decided to look for yellow cars, and thinking that I wouldn't see too many yellow cars, I included gold cars in that too, and saw 20.
We did that experiment to look for a car, or to look for, and the next day we were to look for butterflies or feathers, was to demonstrate the fact that our vision is fairly narrow, what we allow into our brain. And so when we say we want to see something else, all of a sudden we see it. Oh my gosh. Or maybe there's something that's there and we don't want to see it, and we can not see it away. It works. So I got so discombobulated with the microphone that I forgot where I was, so I have to share something with you. I have to share a story about a man who when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that if he wanted to live a long life, he should just put a very small, teeny tiny pinch of gunpowder on his oatmeal every morning. And he should do that for his life. And it worked. He lived till he was 103. And he had 6 children. He had 19 grandchildren. He had, I think, 64 great-grandchildren that he left, and a 15-foot hole in the crematorium. So this week, our experiment that we're going to be doing is to prove that we live in a field of energy, and that you and I, by what we think and what we feel and what we believe, interact with that field. So on the end of your connection card, before you put it in the offering plate, after you filled it in, there's a little piece that tears off, and on the back, it's got an affirmation. I live in a field of infinite possibilities. I interact with this field through my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. I interact with this field through my thoughts, my feelings, and my beliefs. If you got nothing else out of today, and you took this home and you just looked at it and let that realization come to you, you would have had a good lesson. There was a king who had a daughter, a princess, who had a place by the side of her eye, and it was kind of infected, and she kept, doing this with it, and it got worse. And so the king had all the doctors come, and they would give her medicine, and they would tell her, don't touch it. But she kept worrying it, and it got worse. And the king was pretty concerned because, it was spreading over her face, and it was really distorting her looks, and he was worried that she was going to ruin her vision. And so to the kingdom came another guy who said he was a physician, and he looked at the young woman, and he just said, oh. And she said, well, what is it? And he says, well, I can't tell you. No, you please tell me. And he said, no, I don't think I better tell you. And the king says, sir, you've got to tell us. And the physician said, well, her eye's going to get better, but she's going to grow a tail. And so just start watching for that tail. It's going to pop out just any day. And her eye got better because she started paying attention to that tail. Started thinking about that tail. She quit thinking about her eye. She moved her attention. And it's a funny little story, little parable, but it's one that we can use in our everyday life. And that's what this week's chapter is about. The author says, you are not who you think you are. We have fallen into the trap of thinking that we are our physical bodies. We begin to think that this is it. Alan Wolf, who is a PhD in quantum physics, says everything you know about the universe and its laws is more than likely 99.99% wrong. Take a breath. what I know about the universe and its laws is probably 99% wrong. Think about that. Think about that we've been operating our lives based on untruths, what we believe to be true. Einstein's theory, does anybody know what his theory was? But E equals mc squared. He says that basically mass and energy are the same things. Energy is liberated matter. And matter is energy waiting to happen. I liked that. This is energy waiting to happen. The average size human contains 7 times 10 to the 18th power joules of potential energy. Now, I had to write that down because I couldn't remember that, because I have no relationship to what 7 times 10 to the 18th power means. If you and I could explode ourselves, it would equal 30 hydrogen bombs. That I can kind of get some kind of idea about. Everything that we can touch and feel in our physical universe is nothing more than a dense energy pattern. Energy that has slowed down slower than the speed of light. So you're solid because that which is gathered around you is slower than the speed of light. This energy stuff is really nebulous and we can't see it. But what you and I do every day influences that energy. And that's all you have to remember from today. Everything that you and I do influences that energy. We do it by what we think, what we feel, and what we believe. And how many of you have felt your energy before? And so you know that if you, the author says, do your wrist, cross your wrist, and about an inch apart, and see if you can feel the energy, because there's a lot of energy points in your wrist, that you can do this and you can get that feeling of where there's some energy in there. And if you may not be able to do it in this moment when we start talking about it, but if you play with it when you get home, you can do it. The other thing is you can do this, and then you can start feeling the energy between the palms of your hands. It's energy. We are nothing but energy. And we mold and shape with our consciousness, with our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs. When we take Prosperity Plus, Mary Manning Morrissey talks about that when we have something that we want in our lives, that we have to vibrate at the level of that which we want. And so she talks about us vibrating at 88.6 and where we want to be, and what we want is at 101.5. That we have to raise our vibration to match that we want. Exactly the same thing that's being said in this lesson. So I had another quote that I wanted to share with you. In Prosperity Plus, we learn that when we want exciting, joyful, grateful, and we have those feelings, that's what we draw to us, that we magnetize joyful, grateful, and exciting. And if we're feeling guilty and yucky, that's what we draw to us. Niels Bohr, who was a Danish physicist, says that everything in the physical world as we know it is connected to every other thing. That you and I are attached to a field. Now, this week you got a lab sheet, and it's going to require you to have some tools. And the tools are 2 coat hangers and 2 straws. These are our magic wands. And I would love to have somebody who has not done this with me come up here on the stage with me. Someone who's brave. Robin, I knew I could count on you to volunteer. Now, I don't want you to pay attention to them. I want you to pay attention to me. And what I want you to do is, see how I'm holding these just kind of up here parallel? And I'm not holding them tight. They can just swing however they want to swing. Can you do that for me? And what I want you to do is just be neutral. But hold your little magic wands up and think about me. And now I want you to think about the worst thing that has ever happened in your life. I want you to think about the worst day. I want you to think about terrorists. I want you to think about Ebola. I want you to think about everything and just hold those very loose. And just think about the worst day of your life. The worst thing. Think about how bad you felt when Jonathan died. Think about those things that scare you. Holding it really loose. So you're not getting very negative here for me. Now I want you to think about all of the things that you love. I want you to switch your thinking and think about all that you love. And I want you to really relax. Take a deep breath. Pretend you're not standing up here on the stage in front of 50 people. And think about all of the love that they're sending you. And you can open your eyes. You can look out, up, way up. Think about all the love that you're receiving. Okay. We've proven one thing. That putting somebody up here on the stage under pressure is makes it really hard to work. We'll do this with you in a few minutes.
Okay.
After you see this. Because this works so well that if you have the least bit of tension, it doesn't work. Because your tension is your energy. But I'm going to think about this morning when I got here and there were no connection cards ready for this morning. Now I'm going to think about Gerald at 6 o'clock this morning making my wire hangers for me and how much I love you. I did not think this would work. I'm not doing anything to them. I'm just holding them lightly. And if I think about the new piano over there in the organ, or I think about the butterfly over there in the window, I'm not doing anything. I promise you, I'm not doing this. It's doing itself. Now do you see how it works? Somebody else that feels like that you can be totally okay with being up here in front of people. Come on up, Susie.
Have them hold them like this and not like that.
Yes, I know that, but I could see her tension, and I knew that I couldn't. So see how I'm holding it? I'm holding it lightly. I'm giving it all the freedom in the world. Okay. Oops. And so just be neutral. Just take a deep breath and be neutral. I don't know that you can do that, even Susie. So Susie, think about something that's happened in your life that's less than good. Think about it and think about how it affected you and how it made you feel and how hard it made you feel and how sad it made you feel. And now think about Tom and how much he loves you and how much this church loves you and how happy you are. Think about that. Think about how much I love you and we're sitting here sending you love and you're just getting filled with love. Wow. Thank you. Did you think it happened? Oh yes, it happened. Two straws. Now in the book it says take one straw and do it in half, but I have bigger hands and so we just did it like that. And it works. Do you see how that worked? How what we thought. Think about if what I think about affects a silly coat hanger. And I think that in just a moment, and it has an effect. Think about how what I think about all day long has an effect on the energy that in the field I am connected to. Furthermore, I want you to think about the effect of, I don't know, I'm going to try something right now. I don't know that this will work because I don't know that it may not work because I'm in the picture and I can't get out of the picture. I'm going to stay neutral with my thoughts. I want you guys to think about negative things. Think about the worst days in your life. Think about things that you don't like. See, you have an effect on the hangers in my hand. Now think about love and think about joy. Think about the people you love in your life. Think about all the good things. Think about your pets. Think about your loved ones. Do you get it? Not only can I affect by my thoughts the coat hangers in my hand, but you can affect the coat hangers in my hand. Some people have said this is a silly experiment. But it's a profound experiment. Because what happens when you and I focus on the positive together? What happens when you and I focus on the positive together? What happens in our community? Positive things begin to happen. What was that, Vashti?
We get a new church.
We get a new church. And what happens when we focus on the negative?
We bring more of it to our lives.
We bring more of it to our lives. When I got scared that we weren't going to get the building, we had trouble getting the financing. I had to rethink. I had to move my thoughts. I had to start changing my thoughts. People kept telling me it's hard for churches to get loans. Bob Marshall said they had tried to get their church refinanced and he couldn't do it. And I listened. And then I had to listen to Tom Melzoni, our fundraiser, saying, Beth, you're doing a great job. Your community is doing a great job. Y'all are the best bunch of people I have ever worked with. It's that simple. What you and I think and how we feel affects the energy field. What a responsibility. So, Greg, I don't know if I'm going to I'm saying this right, but one of the first lessons in Course in Miracles says this chair is not real. Isn't that kind of how it goes? There's the first lesson in Course in Miracles, the first work in the workbook. And it's something about...
Nothing I see in this world is real, I think.
Yes.
It's a table.
Yeah, nothing is real. And I could not ever understand that. But if we're all energy and it's all just condensed by our thoughts and our thinking and our feeling, then it really is pretty imaginary. What is the impact that has on your life? Will you have the guts to take this worksheet home and do this experiment for yourself? Will you be able to fathom what it means when you can move the coat hangers? I feel like I'm a hellfire and brimstone minister. Go home and get your hangers and use them. Use those hangers. Look how negative that is. Learn for yourself how great this stuff is and how good it can make your life and how good we can do the world. Have I said enough? Thank you.
I just want to know where you cut the lid off.
Well, one of the he just straightened it out. He cut the loop off. Now he got a tool out to bend it, and made it real official and put the thing on and then bend it so my straw wouldn't fall off. But I'm telling you, you don't have to be too accurate. Just make sure you have it 90 degree. Yeah. And make sure that when you hold them, you don't grasp them. Because when you do that, you can stop them from moving.
Which is another lesson.
Which is another lesson when we hold on too tight.
Sheila and I did it, and I just used my hands and bent them, and it worked.
Yeah, you can just bend them with your hands. But I didn't understand the instructions. And actually, we went out on YouTube and saw a demonstration of it, and so then we just did what she had. Lloyd.
I used those one time to find pipes buried beneath my ground because I was going to dig in the ground. And by the intention of knowing that they would come together when I was over a pipe, they came together.
Yeah, people douse with these.
They're called divining rods.
Divining rods.
Interesting name, eh?
Interesting name. Any more comments for the good of the order? So how many of you are going to go home and do this for yourself? Yeah. And if you don't want to go home and do this, know that you can play with these. They'll be here and you can play with them.